So if there is anything that they want to use to support that Bol Mel is the most popular man in the country, they will cut that clip. Even everybody knows that Bol is very popular. You see, and if we are trying to say the truth, he will not see it. He will not see it. And that's why I say when other hopefuls are given a chance in a free process, it will become difficult for you to manipulate the chairman. The chairman will be able to see the exact situation, and from there, I'm 100% sure, within 1 second, if he knows the truth, he will make the right decision immediately.
Hello everyone, welcome to Quality TV. My name is Kuragaram. Today I'm talking to Agel Ring Machar about the issue of succession, leadership failures, and the place of Vice President Bol Mel and President Salva Kiir Mayardit in the current crisis facing the country. Agel is a political activist in South Sudan. He has been involved in political activism for the last 2 decades. He was the president of South Sudan National Youth Union, a former press secretary in the office of former first Vice President General Staban Dengai. He resigned from that position in 2020 and moved to the private sector, where he's running a number of businesses and projects. Agel holds a degree in microbiology from Flinders University in Adelaide, South Australia. Please join me and Agel as we discuss these issues. To support the work I do here, please subscribe to the channel, share, comment, and like the videos. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for being on the show. So as I asked earlier, so what do you think is the problem in terms of leadership since 2005 and also after 2011?
Thank you very much, Garam, for hosting me today. I'm happy to join you and our viewers. Going straight into your question, we have 2 phases since 2005. We have 2005, 2011, and we have from 2011 to current time. Truth of the matter is that 2005 to 2011, the SPLM, with its momentum from 21 years of struggle, that momentum, even with the loss of Dr. John, that momentum continued. That momentum ensured that the NCP was held to account and was forced to adhere to the CPA implementation. And it was largely implemented, even though there are some parts that have not been fully implemented. The main objective of the interim period, which was the independence of South Sudan, was achieved. The party that is still intact. We have issues that have not been implemented fully. The issue of ABA is still outstanding. The issue of the borders, tested areas of the borders. There are a few things there. But 2005 to 2011, I would say they have scored a pass. Party. Now, from 2011 up to now, it's a different phase altogether. It needs a different kind of energy, different kind of goal setting, different kind of vision. The momentum of 1983 to 2005 was no longer that useful. From 2011, they needed really to shift. And in the attempts to shift focus on the new assignment of the state building, nation building, this is where the leadership of the party faltered. All cracks, divisions since 1983, 1991, and so forth came forth, and the party was unable to democratize itself, and was unable to set goals and to even reach its first convention for independence. Divisions came, and the party has been struggling ever since to find its bearing.
Why do you think that's
those divisions?
Why
as we speak right now?
What happened?
You know, the process of transformation did not go as expected. It is most of African countries after independence normally go through this process of struggling to try and see how to build a free and open political systems. So the SPLM struggled because of its history of divisions that I've told you before, and those divisions did not allow it to take the path of a united democratic political party that can set the basis for nation building. So there is leadership failure in that regard to keep the party united and to keep the party focused on the mission.
So you said between 2005 and 2011, so you could give SPLM a passing grade. So and I think many international agencies can actually agree with you. So the trajectory of performance was positive. Then after 2011, after independence, things started to go downhill. Now I want to give the audience, let's say, one or two fundamental problems that you see were the issue after 2011. Like what are the things you can point to say, okay, this is where it started to go wrong?
It's lack of leadership, lack of strong leadership, new visionary leadership. There was a requirement for the party to set new goals. And those new goals are different from the liberation and independence. Most of those leaders have spent most of their life trying to get freedom. So when you spend all your life till you are 60 or 70, focus on one thing and you achieve it, naturally anybody who does that have some sense of fulfillment, and they are no longer as hungry as they were before because their life mission has been achieved. But now setting the new vision, like how they had to set a correct vision in 1983, somebody had to set a correct vision in 2011 for what needs to be done in the new phase. Up to now, the SPLM is still struggling to set that proper vision and adhere to it, collect itself, reunite itself, and refocus on the task at hand, which is state and nation building.
Okay. So do you think they acknowledge that they know they need to refocus and then come up with a new vision for nation building and state building? Do you think they know that?
Well, there was an agreement that was signed for reunification of the party in Arusha, 2015. And in that agreement, they accepted their failures. They really wrote it there. They agreed that we have lost vision, we have lost direction, and through this agreement, the Arusha agreement on the reunification of the SPLM, we are recommitting ourselves to reunite ourselves and focus on our mission of building our nation that we have just achieved. The problem is that whatever that was agreed upon in Arusha has not fully been realized. Some part of it have been incorporated into the mainstream SPLM constitutions and basic documents, but some of them are still documents that have not yet been implemented because they have not yet been tested by any convention or any democratic process within the party. Ever since 2016 extraordinary convention, where some part of Arusha agreement were incorporated into the constitution, we have not had any democratic process going on. The chairman has wielded all the powers, and top leadership have decided everything that needed to be done in the party. We have not had any grassroots processes like convention and so forth. So the party, yes, they admitted openly, and they even at some point apologized to the people of South Sudan for their failures. But I have not seen anything yet to show that they have repented. They are repentant, and they want to take a different direction.
Yeah.
What we see is that the party is continuing to slide into the direction of authoritarianism and lack of free internal democracy within the party, where the party organs are allowed to function the way they're supposed to function, where the National Liberation Council deliberates on policies and then feed the executive of the policies of the party so that the executive can then implement them. For example, the party now doesn't produce the cadres anymore. Government cadres now are produced for the government, the executive branch, or all sort of branches of government through lobby groups, through community organizations, and through some powerful individuals that then decide who should be there. So the party itself, the function are not working. The National Secretariat is not doing the job it's supposed to do. The Politburo doesn't sit to decide on executive issues of the party if there is any issue. I don't know when was the last time they sat and whatever they discussed and whether it was implemented or not. So the party is struggling with that process of transforming from a liberation movement with an objective of liberation and freedom and independence to a political party, modern political party that can build a modern nation and state.
Okay.
The party has failed, and everybody knows that.
Okay. So
the party is struggling, especially the old cadres. They have reached a stalemate. They have worked all their lives. Somebody like Comrade Salva went to the bush in his was a teenager, and now he's in his 70s. So we're talking about 60 years of struggling for your people. What else do you expect out of them? I think they have reached a stage where they are just holding on, allowing the younger generation to inject the new blood, and hopefully the new generation will quickly refocus the party on what needs to be done.
okay. So there are two things I want you to address. Actually, one thing. In 2013, when issues became really, they started to slide downhill, there was this disagreement between the Secretary General, by the time, Pagana Mom, and then the chairman. So Comrade Salva was blaming the Secretary General because he was the main guy in the SPLM. But Pagana was saying he proposed some changes to sort of professionalize the party, but the chairman was not cooperative. Now, can we say that the problem isn't there's a role the chairman played, but we also had a problem within the party that the chairman was let down by the cadres within the SPLM. His colleagues let him down. Can we say that?
Oh, the issue of 2013, I attribute it to not to individuals, but to the lack of robust institutions, strength institution within the party that can manage successfully the competition for power. So the power struggle is nature in any political organization, anywhere in the world. So whatever took place in 2012, 2013, after independence, was a normal process in any political party. The chairman wanted to continue to lead. He felt he had the energy. He felt that he had some things in him that he still can offer the people of South Sudan. And there are people within the top leadership of the party that thought otherwise. And they thought that they can better take the party into the future and deliver for the people of South Sudan their expectation. So that is normal. It is not being let down. And it is not also bad for Salva to say, I want to stay in my seat. That's nature. But we do not have, it was too early. The party had not transformed itself to build strong structures, strong democratic structures and institutions that can function well and manage the competition for power. So when those institutions failed, the party cadres went back to what they know best. That was armed conflict to sort out their leadership issues. So it ran out very quickly in the hands of the party because it didn't have the institutions, and it went into the SPLA, the army. And that's what they know best. If you want to maintain your seat, you have to use arms. If you want a seat, you must use arms. And those institutions in the party were ignored because people were concentrating on making sure that independence is achieved. And before the party is even given one term of 5 years to strengthen its internal structures to manage competition for democracy, people already were struggling for power. And because of weak institution, the party was unable to manage it. So it got out of the hand of the party, and the army and the tribes and regions took over from there. Ever since, there have been attempts to put the party together, and the party has struggled to get back together.
So what is the way forward?
In regard to the ideal situation is for the party to reunite using the Arusha Agreement. If I was the chairman today, I would open the Arusha Agreement and implement it in spirit and letter.
So you want the SPLM-IU and SPLM-IG to reunite and then restructure and professionalize? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
But
exactly.
How about people who say that is virtually impossible? Because there's no way.
It is impossible.
Yeah. So do you think that is possible?
No, it's not possible.
So when you
it's
say
not possible because the two antagonistic people, I don't think they are interested to work with each other.
Okay.
If it was only one person, it would be better. We can try to convince the other person, but two of them are adamant. Dr. Yeg is no longer interested at least at the party level, to deputize anybody. And Comrade Salva is not interested in being deputized by Dr. Riek Machar. But I believe that is the best solution for me. If I was the one in power, I would unite the party, bring all those democratic processes that brought the problem to begin with in 2013 that were agreed in the Arusha Agreement, incorporate them into that's the party constitution, and we go into convention. Okay? And you lead, two of them lead the party into the next election, so that the country is united, and we can have the first election. It doesn't matter how bad it may look, but we need that first election out of the way. We don't have to wait until it's perfect. Let us just get one election out of the way. And time is also catching up with them. They're also aging. So if they win one election, it means that the party is united. And if the SPLM is united, the country is united. Because it is the division in the party in 2013 that led to the tribal division in the country. And if you want to unite the country, it is better those who divided the country are forced to sit together so that they can unite the country. That is the essence of these two agreements, the Revitalized Access and the Arusha Agreement. It is trying to say, look, when we raised the flag, the country was united. There was no these tribal issues. When you guys in the party start struggling for power and you divided your army, your tribes divided themselves. Now, you cannot leave these two people still divided and then you try to unite the people of South Sudan. You can talk your head out for hours, for days, and for years, and it will not happen. Because these two major tribes are adamant that their leaders are Kiir and Riek. For whatever reason. If you go to my community of Denka, all of them will tell you, yes, we see some shortcomings of Comrade Salva. He's failing here. He's doing good here. They know the weaknesses and strength of the president. But if you tell them, we want somebody else, they will not accept.
Okay.
Why? It's something very difficult to understand. If you go to Nuer community, it's the same thing. You will find them here trying to fight Riek Machar, insulting him and everything. And as soon as you take the Riek Machar and you put him in prison or try to humiliate him, and the entire tribe is up and down. So these are the leaders that represent over 55% of the country. Just two ethnic groups are over 55% of, or over nearly 60% of the entire country.
Okay.
Out of 64 tribes. I think the best way is try to get this person, Zaim of Denka, and the Zaim of Nuer, and put them together and let us move forward.
Okay.
This I think is the best way. In case SPLM doesn't do that, then let them form two political parties, implement the vital access and all the reforms that are envisaged in that agreement, the security sector reforms, the economic sector reforms, the transitional justice, the reparation and compensation, and making sure everybody comes home, write a proper permanent constitution, do census, and then let these two major parties go to a free and fair elections.
Okay.
So Riek Machar, as he said before, if he loses elections to Salva, he will go and write a book. If that, or he can lead, he can be a opposition leader, and people move forward if they cannot unite themselves. The issue here now, they don't want to unite and they don't want to move towards election. They are, from now and then, they are interested in these shortcuts, and so they want to undercut each other, and they try to outwit each other and so forth. It's wasting time. They've been doing this now for 10 years and it's not taking people anywhere. 12 years now.
Okay.
So unite yourself or transition the country to democratic process, and you people compete and bring that the dispute you guys have to ask the people of South Sudan, and we will sort it out for you.
Sounds good.
From the ballot boxes.
So that brings me to a segue to the question of succession. Because there's this issue in South Sudan. If you talk about change in leadership, you are accused of what they call regime change, and it's seen as something malicious. But as you said, these people are aging. They've done their part, and I think no one can take that away from them. They've liberated the country. They've done their part, and it's time for them to give the baton to the younger generation, if we may say. Now, but that is something that is resisted. You know, if you talk about this, you're seen as someone who is against the SPLM. Now, so going back to what you just said about them getting old and the issue of leadership within the SPLM. So let us say the reunification of the SPLM is virtually impossible. So let us focus on SPLM-IG itself, to restructure itself. Do you think it's time for a new leadership for example, a new chairman of the SPLM, IG, now?
To be honest, I was ready for new leadership 2011. If I was a chairman and consider everything that has happened, I would have not, after raising the flag, I would have just prepared the country prepare the party for a new leadership, for convention, become the patron, and hand over to new leadership. 15 years ago, 14 years ago, I would have done that. So yes, right now, we are definitely ready because we have leadership challenges within the party. So it makes sense that people think turning a new page may provide new opportunities and new direction, injecting new blood and new ideas. So yes, the party is ready for it.
Okay. So that brings me to the changes the chairman has done, removing Dr. James Waniga, and then we now have 3 deputies, and then we have Bol Mel now. Do you think that's the right direction?
You know, the issue of succession, the party has not made it clear what the recent changes are actually about. Whether they are just to energize the party, or how he is himself and the top leadership planning on succession. We still don't know that. Because succession in the SPLM party before has strictly been based on hierarchy that was set in the first 2 or 3 years of the movement that was started in 1983. For example, when Carbino, the then deputy CNC, when he was detained, the person that was the third, William Nguyen, took his place. When William Nguyen also broke away from the movement, Salva that was after that took William Nguyen's place and became the deputy CNC. And when Dr. John was trying to kill the Comrade Salva that was his deputy, took over. When Riek Machar broke away in 2013, Comrade Waniga that was after Riek Machar became the deputy. So it has strictly been hierarchy. But if the top leadership of the party have decided they want to shift from that tradition, then what we would think is that they need to be very clear about succession, and also allow other chairmen, those who would like to be chairman, they have to chair an internal democratic process where the people, membership of the party, can then decide among 2 or 3 or 4, 5 people that would like to succeed Comrade Salva. And through that internal democratic process, the party can then be handed over to a popular candidate that is accepted by the membership, that is trusted by the membership to lead them. That's what I think would be the best way for succession.
So
but whatever is happening right now, if it is indeed succession, then it's going to fail. I'm one of the people within the party that I'm not that enthusiastic about this process and how Salva is going about. But if it is really succession, because he hasn't said, that's another issue. It makes it difficult for people to comment in full context because we do not know what Congress chairman wants to do. Because it looks like the way Comrade Bol Mel is brought, breaking the historical and traditional way of following the hierarchy. It looks to people that he is being positioned as the next chairman of the party and the future president. But successful succession are done normally when there are about 3 or 4 horses competing, so that the chairman himself can have a proper taste of who, if he was handed over the party can remain united. So that those who do not make it know that they did not make it because the membership or the majority of the membership of the party prefers somebody else.
Okay.
But if you know that you are a very popular person in the party, and then you are discriminated by the sitting chairman, and sitting chairman brings somebody that is less popular than you are, the only way that person can be kept in power is through the barrel of a gun. So the party is singing back to liberation era mentality of using guns to maintain power or to gain power. and not through popular vote and through dialogue with the people of South Sudan and the membership of the party. I thought that if they really want, go ahead.
I like what you said about the issue of succession not being clear because they've not made it clear. And some people have said that people who say Bol Mel is maybe possibly the next chairman of the SPLM and possibly the next president of South Sudan. It has not been made clear. We can also make the argument that given the climate, it would not be wise for the chairman, Salva Kiir, to come out and say, yeah, he's the next one. So he can strategize as a politician, as also someone who was a former member of the intelligence in Sudan, that it's a strategy to bring him. So some people will say he's actually making it clear, even if he's not going to say it explicitly, because as you said, it may make senior people, angry and rebellious within the party. So do you think it's another strategic way to bring in Bol Mel while controlling the atmosphere within the party?
All we can do is speculate. You understand? And if that is what he's doing, then I'm one of the people in the party that have come out openly, and I have said that the way he's going about it is not the correct way.
Okay.
I would prefer that if succession is to be done, the people of South Sudan should be, all the members of the party should be given an opportunity to choose between others. Others should also be given a chance. There are other people within the party, at the top leadership of the party, who have been there. People like Nial Deng Nial, for example, people like Paul Kodit. There are young people within that Politburo, or the National Liberation Council, or the National Secretariat, people like Lambot. And there are many others, young people around the age of Bol, that can be tossed around here and to have a feel. Because the reason you do this is that as the chairman and the president, you are basically an imprisoned person. That's another issue. That's another definition for a president in South Sudan. He's actually in prison. So they move him from his house to his office, to his house, to his office. That's it. And he has no proper access to normal people. All the information he has are brought by his assistants. And if one person with resources can control all the assistants of the president, it is very easy for that president or chairman to be misled, and for him to make wrong decision, thinking that he's doing the right thing by the party and by the people.
But does the chairman know
And that's
that?
why you want to throw in.
Does he know that that is what is happening?
And that's what I'm saying. When you are in prison and you don't have a TV, and the prison guard comes to you and tell you Trump is no longer the president of the United States, that's all you know. How can you ask whether I know whether it is true or not? There is no other way for me to know, because he's the one that will come and tell me. And that's what happened with Comrade Salva, is that access to him has been used as a tool to manipulate him. And that's why we are making enough noise. Hopefully he will hear us, because his heart is in the right place from day one. Those you can agree with him, disagree with him, but Comrade Salva's heart has always been with his people, and he will do everything, including sacrifice his life for his people. So when he makes certain decisions, people have identified these techniques of making sure that the people that are around the president are your people and they're on your payroll. And that's what some of the people have done. The people with resources, they make sure that the assistants, the personal assistants, the close bodyguards, the executive director, the chief of protocol, private secretary, people, you always keep them on your payroll, so that they always tell him, as soon as he wakes up, bang, 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 this is what is going on. Before he goes to bed, bang, this is what is going on. He has no access. For example, what we are talking about here, it is them who will decide which part of the clip Comrade Salva is going to see. Okay? So if there is anything that they want to use to support that Bol Mel is the most popular man in the country, they will cut that clip. Even a girl knows that Bol is very popular. You see? And if we are trying to say the truth, he will not see it. He will not see it. So and that's why I say, when other hopefuls are given a chance in a free process, it will become difficult for you to manipulate the chairman. The chairman will be able to see the exact situation. And from there, I'm 100% sure, within 1 second, if he knows the truth, he will make the right decision immediately. He will not hesitate.
Okay, so I like what you said.
So especially now, especially in 2025, Comrade Salva has been isolated. even head of institutions, like, for example, the speaker, someone like Chief Justice, head of branches, senior ministers, have been trying to see the president, and they are unable to see the president for months. Until certain people know that when you go to the president, you are going to speak the agenda that they approve. And when such succession are done in murky, dark corners, they don't go very well, especially with a party that is already fractured, and the party that has been struggling with divisions, party that is struggling to manage a country in war, economy that is in collapse, youth that are disenfranchised, frustrated, neighborhood that is in conflict, and with countries that are becoming predators on the people of South Sudan and the resources of South Sudan. The last thing you want to do as the chairman of the ruling party is to set in motion a succession plan that is very murky and unclear and undemocratic.
So I like what you said, because I think people need to hear that, because we usually, my brother once told me that President Kiir is a good uncle with bad people around him. I always remember that. He said that a while ago, which is related to what you just said. Before I go to, there's something you usually write on social media about Bol Mel being the crown prince. Before we go to that, I want to ask you to explain that. But before you go to that, what you said about the president being in prison, what do you think would be the best way for the president to be able to hear these things? For example, if people are saying we don't like Bol Mel, is not popular, or to hear what you're saying, what do you think would be the best way to sort of help the president see things that are happening in the country? Because he may be thinking that everything is good, people are being paid salary, there's no crisis in the country. That may be the case because the narrative is controlled by people around him. So what is the best way to help the president?
There's no other way. Is for example, the president has to be in charge of his office. If Comrade Taban is a vice president, let him be in charge of his office. Ring Machar is a vice president, let him be in charge of his office. Bol Mel is the vice president of economic affairs, let him be in charge of his office. But when Bol Mel manages his office and the office of the president together, it is very difficult to know whether these decisions the president is making are actually his honest decisions or manipulated outcome of those that have captured his office. And I've told people who are very close to the president, there is no any other way through this. You have to take control of the office of the president. You have to bring in somebody that is incorruptible, somebody that with a stature that will come and do the right thing by the chairman, by the president, and by the country and the people of South Sudan. And we have given them names of people that, if they sit in that office, for example, as the Minister for Presidential Affairs, people who want to manipulate things will stop on their track. They will not attempt to try and bribe him or threaten him or tell him things that are not true. And these characters are there. And these are the characters they have made sure they spend 20 hours a day trying to distance them from the president. Hakai Rajapaksa, they are very bad people. They have done this and they hate you. And if you even allow them 5 minutes in your vicinity, they will even kill you. They can even poison you. So the president is left scared of the people that can save him. And so he pushes out the people who can save him and bring in this. And, this comes with the nature of the president being a security officer all his life. And he sets his environment as an environment of an intelligent officer. There's a lot of information trading coming up and there. And there is a lot of facts and so forth. People are always talking about information and analyzing and talking and analyzing, and nobody's even making proper decision. So somebody like Bol Mel that is a little bit witty can go in between there and start to be the decision maker and make decisions that are his own, the chairman.
Okay.
In any way, as a member of the party, I don't believe my chairman is okay right now. And the decisions that he's making are not in his interest and the interest of his legacy, overall legacy. In his last years of his life, after a long life of public service and sacrificing for his people, I feel like before we rescue the party, we need to rescue our chairman.
Okay. So you said something about Bol Mel managing his office and the office of the president. Do we have any evidence that that's the case?
These are people I know. Okay. I'm not an international analyst or anything. These are friends. We take tea together. So I know them.
Okay.
I know that Bol makes the decision about who's, for example, who is the minister of the president, who is the chief administrator, who is the executive director, and who is the private secretary of the president. I know that for sure. Number two, there are other assistants that are not in these administrative structures that are on the payroll of Bol Mel. These are people we know. The houses they bought and the apartments they bought, we know them. Somebody like me, I know them. If it was in the court, if I was called to be called in a court, I would take the police and the prosecutors to the place, and they will take the papers, and I would say, take this apartment and go to the courts and get this paper, belongs to and so, and it was taken from this guy for this. So take my word for it.
Okay.
He is in control of the office, the president, and all the narrative that the president have about the country are the narrative that are produced by Bol and his people that have surrounded the president and the chairman. And that's why all the decisions don't make sense. Nothing makes sense because all of a sudden the hierarchy of the party has been undone and nobody has been given an opportunity so that the younger generation can also compete and see who is popular, who has better ideas, and who can unite the party and so forth. For example, the decision, the decision to destroy the revitalized access, the only document holding the country together and detaining your biggest political opponent, something that has been condemned by almost everybody around the world and in the continent of Africa, in the region. Only Museveni and Congress Salva. Everybody else. I heard somebody say that if you left your house and 5 people in a row told you that you have left your head at home, it will make sense for you to touch it. So if East Africa tells you don't do that, IGA tells you don't do that, African Union tells you don't do that, UN tells you don't do that, our friends like the United States, UK, Norway, European Union, even Japan that doesn't get involved is now involved. Japan is telling you, Kalam de Masa, this thing is wrong. And somehow, those that have surrounded the president with a narrative from the vice president tells him that that is the best way to unite the country and to transition the country from war to peace, is to detain the biggest opposition leader and bring in Uganda to go and bomb their people in their villages. I mean, this, you understand? And that's why we are worried. And I understand that tomorrow, the Security Council, they are converging in Juba. And this is what is going to be discussed. What has happened in 2025? Why have you decided to throw away the document that you know, it wasn't allowing you to go back to war, and it wasn't getting you to democracy. Why did you decide to let it go? And what are you going to replace it with? What did you replace it with? You understand? So everybody's worried, and that's why we are worried. And the issue of succession, as I said, we still don't know what the chairman is doing about. If it comes down to succession, I am 100% sure. I trust my party and I trust my people of South Sudan that they will not be led by somebody they don't want. It doesn't matter how much guns you have. They have tried. The Ottoman Empire has tried. Mahdia has tried. The Anglo-Egyptian have tried. The Sudan government has tried. And many people have tried before. They will not be ruled by somebody they don't want. The reason Comrade Salva is there is because he has that legitimacy. He carries that Anyanya 1, SPLM, and raising the flag, the interim period of John Garang. He carries this respect as an elder. That even though he goes wrong, we know that his heart is the right place. It has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that he can die for his people. Okay, and that's why he's there. He's not there because there is so much gun. Figuera Junubia. The tiger is no. It is not because of that. So I'm 100% sure this loop that has been done around the president will bust, and the president will see the reality. And I hope that he sees the reality before it's too late. But if you reach that stage where he steps aside and will become the chairman and the president of the country, then he will hear from us. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
He will hear from the people of South Sudan.
Now let's go to the question of what you said about the crown prince, and then we'll now go into, if in case the president decides that Bol Mel is the chairman and becomes the president, we'll come and talk about whether he's the right candidate. But first, what do you mean by the crown prince?
Crown prince is somebody that is set to take over. from the king.
Okay.
So it is automatic. It is not just deputy chair, because deputy chair does not mean you will take over from the chairman. Because there have been many deputy chairs before. But in a kingdom, crown prince is somebody that is assured, should anything happen to the king, he takes over. And that's what he has been pursuing over the last 7-8 years. He's pursued actively, position himself as somebody that is undisputed in the minds of the chairman in regards to who should take over from the chairman. This is where the word came from. And I did not want to use the word that was used, like the rat, the big rat and the rest. I thought they were. I thought it will take me away from my point. I did not want to insult. I want to give him a name that is honorable, so that people now concentrate about what I'm talking about, rather than name calling.
Okay. Yeah, that because
So it's a good name. It's a good name, but I'm saying it in a. I'm being sarcastic in a way.
Okay,
So
that
I'm trying to say the serious thing, but joking at the same time with the social media.
okay. So yeah, thank you for explaining that, because one of the things we don't do in South Sudan is to disagree respectfully. So, and that's something that I want to encourage here, where we say, okay, I don't agree with Agel, or I don't agree with Bol Mel, or I don't agree with the chairman and the president, but still live together without any enmity or any bad feelings. So I'm glad that you explained that. Now, there's some people would say, okay, saying crown prince presupposes that he has been sort of considered by the president as the heir. So if you say he's the crown prince, that presupposes what we talked about that earlier, that there's no clarity in terms of succession issue, whether the president is saying Bol Mel is going to be the next chairman and the president. So when you say crown prince, it may give people an impression that what you're saying is actually the president has suggested him as the next heir apparent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Now, then let's go to what if he becomes the chairman? Let's say, do you think we can give him a chance to lead, to say, let us see what he's going to do for South Sudan as chairman, as president? Is he the right man?
When you give somebody a job, the first thing they ask you is to give them your CV. Your CV your CV doesn't say automatically you're going to succeed in this job, but it gives people the bare minimum that this person deserves to be given a chance at this job. Any job. Your CV puts you at a place to say, okay, let us give him probation period of, let's say, 6 months or 1 year or 2 years in that job, and we'll see, then we'll give him permanent employment. The CV of vice president over the last 20 years does not qualify him to be chairman of the party. And his CV is in the public domain. In the private sector, as the head of South Sudan Chamber of Commerce, as the head of ABMC, the defunct ABMC, as the head of ARC, that is now declared bankrupt, that is in debt and grossly mismanaged, roads that are substandard, contracts that have not been honored, sanctioned by the United States for certain dealing. So the CV, in my eyes, does not qualify him to be given an opportunity as the chairman of the party. Your CV, without being seen, can disqualify you from being called for interview to begin with. By people reading your CV, they can decide this person we should not call him for interview. Idiot. You just take it. And then there are those that are called by the interview, then they are given a chance probation period. So if he was an unknown person, or if somebody whose CV was above average in terms of what is needed to be done now, and that is management, proper leadership of the country, proper management, setting priorities, fighting corruption, fighting tribalism, and so forth. His CV does not, in my eye, and I'm only one voter in the party, by the way, I must qualify. There could be millions who think that he's ready for this. But and that's why I said earlier, if 3 or 4 people were floated, and then the people choose, it would become clear what I'm talking about. And if I'm in the minority in the party, and the election is done, and he's appointed, all of us, even those who disagreed with him, we will unite behind him, and he will lead us. That's what it means, internal democracy within the party. But I'm one of the people that cannot cast my vote for him in a convention for him to become the chairman.
So that's good because
to be even given a chance.
Okay.
What if he runs the country the way he ran the BMC, or he runs the country the way he ran ARC? Where will we go?
Okay. So that's good because you've clarified your position. But if he's selected by the let's say the National Liberation Council or the Bureau, and he becomes the chairman, you would support him. Now, I was talking to someone recently, and that is someone who says that there's a possibility that Bol Mel will become the president, and he said we should support him. So if he's not qualified, if his position, if his CV is not that impressive, as you said, and he's not qualified, this person is saying, let us support him. He has a plan. So do you think, even if he's not qualified, can we help him? Because he's now the second deputy chairman. He's a vice president. Yeah.
First deputy.
Yeah, first deputy. And he's also the vice president. Someone could say someone must have seen something in him to be given that position. If there are weaknesses, then it's the duty of the party, you included, to support him and make him a better leader. What do you say to that?
Well, there is, and that's what I said. If it was a free environment where the chairman, out of his own will, without manipulation of all the assistants that have been planted around him to give him a false narrative of the strength and weaknesses and powers and popularity of Bol, and that's what the chairman came and asked us out of goodwill, that's fine. We have an obligation as members of the party to support it. But up to now, first of all, the chairman hasn't said that openly. And number two, I feel like the chairman is being manipulated into certain direction, is being coerced into certain direction. Because everywhere he turns, he only hears about Bol. And Bol is not worried about anything else other than anybody else who does not follow his narrative around the president. He can even remove even dogs. He can even dogs, the pets in the house of the president. If they don't bark in the sound that he likes, he can change. He can say, this pet, I don't like this pet. So this is for me. I still don't think that.
Okay, so you're saying the problem is how he's been put in place. So the process is not transparent, it's not democratic, it doesn't follow the party rules. Otherwise, you would support him. All right.
That's right.
Okay, so let's come to the question of generational exit, as Dr. Biaraja put it, or as some people would say, generational inclusion, because you cannot have a whole generation exit. That's not possible. But you have gradual, incremental inclusion of the younger generation, what I call, or some people call, the Red Army generation. Do you think the appointment of Bol Mel is part of that, part of generational inclusion?
Yeah, of course. This idea was on our lips a lot last 15 years ago. But the truth is that in the last 5 years, 5 years, both leaders, the two parties, major parties, have heard our calls. And some of the senior appointments have made in increasing numbers have been younger people. So they have opened doors in the last 6 years. I don't think it is is an issue anymore in 2025. It is not, if I was to talk about what Comrade Salva is doing right or wrong, not including young people at the top leadership is not one of them anymore. They have actually heard it and they are moving in that direction. It used to be a problem in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015 as well, 2016. Before those of Peter Biar was detained by national security, it was a talk. Even Machar also spoke about it, I think, in 2010, 2011. But for now, it is no longer an issue to me. I have seen a lot. Like right now, people who are in key places are all people who are in their late 40s and early 50s, you know. And while Comrade Salva is in his 70s. So you can see they're 20 years. So they're picking people 20 years younger than him instead of the same. For example, the Vice President, only one is that the Minister of Finance, the head of Central Bank, Addis Ababa, the head of very key institutions that runs the country, both in the military, the economic sector, and governance. Some of the governors in the states, I think they have done enough to include younger people, let's say. And if there is no proper output, then it is now the matter of the type of young people they have picked, and not because of their age. Young people have been picked. But if you pick the right young person, or it is not about old and young, if you pick a 70-year-old good Minister of Defense, he will do a good job. If you also pick a 45-year-old good, he can do a good job. So there are some young people now that have been brought, and we still don't see any changes. Maybe they will need to adjust on the method they use to pick some of these young people, because there seem to be this idea that if you talk too much and you show you know too much, then you will be pushed out. And then if you submit and then you kiss their feet and you say baba baba like this, then you are a good boy, then you get rewarded position. This is the aspect now that's why we are talking now. The talking of 2025 is about them adjusting the type of young people they think they should, because these positions are not rewarding your loyalists. They are not rewards for good boys. It is an assignment that needs to be done. I always tell them, if you are a sultan in your village and you know your children, and there is an issue that faces the village, you will pick the young person based on the capacity of that person. Now, if it is a war that has come to the village, you know among your children who excels in war. If the other brother who doesn't know war gets up, even though he's very respectful to you, you will tell him, this is not your work. So and so, go and deal with that. If you are going to a wedding with a complicated family that likely going to insult and make life difficult for people, you will pick the one that knows how to long jaw, the one that knows how to speak properly and doesn't cause problems, not the warrior that ran to the battlefield. So positions are assigned based on capacity of those, not based on whether you like them or not, or whether they respect you or they don't respect you, whether they submit to you or they don't submit to you. This is where the senior comrades are going wrong. And they themselves, the leaders of the SPLM, they were not very submissive to those of Abelier and Bol Mel. They were not. In fact, they left them in their leadership in the High Executive Council, and they decided to cause problem in Bor, and they went to Ethiopia. They didn't even tell these guys. They were all detained. Those of Bol Mel, they were all detained. They turn on their elders. So when they see young, rebellious young people, they should see themselves in these young people. And the future of the country is in those hands, not those who come and they kiss your feet and they have nothing to perform. And that's why he keeps bringing so and so and changing so and so and bringing so and so, because the mechanism for selecting people, the HR mechanism for selecting, will determine the performance of that company. If you don't have a proper HR, even in basketball, if you don't have a proper recruitment and a scouting team that understand where the team is in development of that stage and what kind of players you need. Do you need forward, center, or back players, or what do you need to do? That's the issue with these elders now, is that they have no proper recruitment mechanisms where they can scout through hundreds of cadres and pick out cadres based on their capacities and assign people in the right places so that the country can move forward.
Okay.
But if it is only about young people, yes, they are brought young people, but using the wrong HR recruitment mechanism.
So it goes back again to qualifications, that if they include young people, they should be appointed appropriately and those who are qualified. But then there's also this issue of position and influence. You can pick young people and then use them as some sort of a smokescreen, but they don't actually have any influence in terms of power. Because you want to put young people in position of power so that they are able to influence policy. And you can see when Dr. Bach was appointed as Minister of Finance and Lich Garang was appointed as the governor of Bank of South Sudan. They had put in place some policies, but they were removed. So that's why and some people are afraid that some of these young people are just tokenized into position, but they don't have an influence. If that's the case, then that's not a generational change or generational inclusion. They're just being used to give us an impression anything is changing, but they don't have power.
Okay, fine. That's another issue. That is a structural issue. It's an institutional issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is how power is distributed among institutions.
Mm-hmm.
That has no age difference. It also means that an elderly governor of a Nile state has no proper control and proper control of his finances, and doesn't get support the money as often as he wants it. And another governor that is close to the Minister of Finance or close to the presidency or close to Benjamin Bol Mel can get the money. So the issue, that is a structural issue, where institutions are allowed to work by themselves. Where, for example, if the budget is budgeted, and we say the Minister of Education is this year given 10% of the national budget, and let's pick a number, it is $10 million, that the Minister of Finance must adhere to that, and that the Minister of Finance of Education must get that money in that financial year, and nobody else should come from somewhere else, office the president, and say that $10 million that was supposed to go to education, you give them $1 million and bring $9 million. No, you understand? You cannot do that in a country like the United States and the rest, because you will be asked. Even a young person at the computer will ask you, I cannot even log in. It cannot go because so and so has to sign. Well, institutions don't work in South Sudan because they have not been strengthened. Whether institution of the party, institution of the military, the institution of foreign diplomacy. That's why our diplomatic position is all over the place, because institutions are not working. Look at that issue that happened that led the United States to suspend all the visas and the rest. Look at what happened. Now it is a problem now to lift those. It is affecting people now. But what happened is that the ambassador in Washington, D.C., which is a sovereign institution, gave the person South Sudanese documents, traveling documents. In other words, admitting that he's South Sudanese to America. And then when he came to the airport, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said, no, this person is not South Sudanese. And Americans are saying, what? So who is saying what? What kind of games are these? Your ambassador said this is South Sudanese. So you can see now institutions are not working. The people at the headquarters should know that the ambassador of South Sudan to the United States is the representative of the president in that area. And if he says so and so is a citizen, we have no other way to say no. We have to admit that person and then recall him and tell him you did your job wrong, so and so. But so that is the issue. That's why sometimes some of these people are put in this position and they don't influence decision making. That's one aspect. Number two, the process of bringing young people up was interrupted by the rise of Benjamin Bol, because Benjamin Bol started targeting these young people that are very influential and try to get them out of the way. So flush them out of the way. So some of these casualties over the last 4 or 5 years, young people see the 6 months and the young person is gone for good. And he was doing a very good job. Like Bernard Bag everybody thinking that he was doing very well. And then all of a sudden he vanished with no opportunity of coming back. It is that mechanism of surrounding the president with your allies that are on payroll and feeding information that are truly false. And if you hear some of the things they say, you will laugh for hours and hours. So some of these people were flushed out the way because they were young people that wanted institutions to start working. So somebody like Bernard Bag, if Benjamin Bol comes and says this money has to go here, he would say no, that's not what the budget says. The budget says so and so. So some of these people, the coming of Benjamin has interfered with a lot of young people that were doing, like, for example, Lambo was doing very well as Secretary General, but he had to be flushed out of the way. And some other young people, like someone like Paul Cody and the rest, all these young people have to be flushed out of the way so that he can come, because the others outshine him. And some of them have been in politics for a very long time. Some of them have been in the Politburo since 2008. Up to now, that's nearly 20 years, 17 years in the Politburo. And you are coming from the commerce, from building roads. And now you are in the center, you are in the Politburo. And you have a young person that can articulate better, can got mentorship from those of Dr. John Garang and so forth, and Waniga and Pagana Mom and the rest. This person has to be sent home for you to find space and sending out competitors so that you can find your comfort zone slows down the party. And there's some of the reasons I can speak until tomorrow morning about why I think this change towards Comrade Bol is a change backwards. It's a step, it's many steps backwards, not forward.
So
Just to quote somebody that had said that Comrade Salva is 20 times better than Bol Mel, even when he's old at that age. So we are going back 20 years instead of moving forward.
so we are
We
coming.
will continue to talk.
Yeah.
We'll continue to talk until Comrade Salva hears us, and I'm confident that he will hear us. He will make the change.
We're coming towards the end, so I want you to conclude by relating the issue we've been talking about, generational inclusion or generational exit, to what I think Alewayen, he said this during the inauguration of the new governor of Warap. He said that people like Bol Mel, like it's not the time for people like Bol Mel and the Red Army generation. They're not yet ready. They are boys like that. So that kind of attitude still exists. Do you think it's also affecting? So I want you to rail that and then conclude by saying, what do you think is the way forward in terms of all the things we've talking about?
Comrade Leo has he's a senior member of the movement, and he has a lot of baggages from liberation era time. The stories can liberation time that he carries them on sometimes into modern setting that don't fit modern setting. You know, he has ideas, for example, against the project of the Red Army as a whole in 80s, not now, during that time. According to him, it was an idea by John Garang and the ruling Boer community to produce what is called officer class. So some of those young people were going to be there. They go to school until they become late teens, and they will be taken to Kulia, and then they will become Dubat, and then they can control the officer class. Hey, these conspiracies can be this is liberation era. This is business. But for him to say that the Red Army the old one outside did not contribute, Comrade Ayam himself, in the Battle of Kakweta, was wounded. The Battle of Kakweta, one of the commanding officers of the battalions that were attacking under the direct command of Dr. John Garang. And the bodyguards, his immediate unit that took him out was the unit of the Red Army. Some of them are now in the government. They are now Dr. Ting Mayai was one of his bodyguards that carried him out. Literally, with Jedamar. You cannot point to Europe. You should point to Kapoita in the battlefield, where he was carried out when the battle failed. Kapoita was attacked, and then in the morning, the enemy regrouped, and they came and took people out of the trenches. It was very dangerous at that time, a lot. That's where those of Majong Manya Lung died. He was wounded in that battle. And those who carried him out are some of them are right now. They can be called. They can tell him, Banya, now they never did anything in the war. Did we not carry you out? If we were not there, will you not be dead now? So this idea that no, it's not true. We are here and we are a formidable force, and the sooner the party realizes that, the better for the party. Because so this is the I do not want to engage with him too much because I think him from those of Garama Bill and the rest. They have fought so much. And sometimes I don't want, and that's why I don't want to respond to them too much. I want to concentrate on the young generation and how we can make sure that we get the proper leadership set right now so that for the next 10, 20 years, the South Sudan becomes a different country. Rather than dealing with the people whose son is going down. So I don't agree with him that Red Army are people. In fact, even the Red Army, what they did in terms of diplomatic mobilization of the United States and the Western world to impose the CPA and independence is not a joke. You know, Bush, he did not come to Bush as a dream. You know, George W. Bush. When then he came as a dream and said, let me go and help the people of Sudan. There was a lot of campaign that was done through churches, polls, and people talking, visiting houses, visiting the house of offices of the congressmen and so forth. So the Red Army, that the so-called Lost Boys, did a lot of work outside. So it is not a unit within the SPLM that, and for him to say nobody can be Red Army at 55, it is also beyond the point.
Yeah.
Red Army is a legacy, is an experience that you had. Okay. For example, when you say that and Katiba Tiger, there is nothing called Katiba Tiger right now, but it used to be. It's a legacy. So when during the Mataj Day, those people from Katiba Rhino, they all come together, they have a barbecue, and they sing songs of the Rhino Battalion and so forth. Nobody can come and tell you they ran Katiba Rhino, okay, 90 years old. You cannot say that. Okay, of course, when I was Rhino, I was 30 years, but now I'm Gideon. So when I was Red Army, I was 13 years, but now I'm 46 years. Does it stop me from being a Red Army? It is a legacy. So, but the point he was trying to say was that Bol should not act like he's automatic, like he's a crown prince, like it is assured that he's definitely going to get it. Don't let him say that. He was advising him in good faith, and that should be taken. That Bol should take that very, very clearly. He should not act. He should just stay humble the same way Waniga stayed and so forth. Because the problem with deputies that want to be chairs, they end up finding themselves on the street. Whether that person is Carbino, whether that person is William Nguyen, whether that person is Riek Machar, or so forth. If you are a deputy that is always looking at the seat of your chair, your days in politics are numbered. You are always pushed out. So he was being advised in good faith in that aspect. And I agree with the Lena in that sense. He shouldn't find himself in all the places. He's the Minister of Defense, he's the Minister of Finance, he's the Minister of Diplomacy, Foreign Affairs, he's everywhere.
Okay.
Try to act like, oh, he's not in control, loser, things like these are things that Lena here was trying to warn Bol against.
Okay.
But he went ahead and then touches those areas conspiracies can keep which are baseless.
What's your last word?
There's hope, because there's a reason why you give birth to children. The reason you give birth to children is that they do their part. When you do your part, you leave your legacy to them. They protect your legacy, and they take your mission forward. So whether BP becomes the chairman or doesn't become the chairman, I have full confidence in this generation of SPLM members and this generation of South Sudanese. We will take full responsibility of our generational responsibilities, historical responsibilities, to make sure this country is united and the basis set for a prosperous country. I have no doubt about that. So future remains bright. We will continue to dialogue. We will continue to talk, disagree, and agree until we find the right path forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Agel. This has been really, really productive, and I think the audience will really enjoy it. And many people are looking forward to what you had to say.